Morning. Well, I got breaking news. Not really. Breaking news to me might be that today they might have pozole down the street. That would be good news. Bad news would be it's sold out by the time something is by the time this by the time somebody gets around to getting out of bed. These people have already sold 10 kilograms of roast pork, sold in tacos. So jump real quick over to what I heard here is the Mexican peso continues to fall amid a volatile session. So, do you want to hear a prediction of the future? Would you like to? Okay, I'm going to predict the future based on a couple of patterns. All right, let's go with this. This is not channeling. This is not. Um, well, I don't know. I don't know what this is. I don't know what the hell this is. So right around this time every single day, I get creative ideas that just come to me. Okay, some people call it a stream of intelligence or stream of consciousness. No, stream of consciousness is when people babble incessantly, like I do most of the time, which is my style and pattern of speaking. I speak like a man from 20 years ago. No scripting, maybe a format if I have people, if ever. I don't think anybody's awake at this time of day. I don't know. What do you guys do? 5:30 in the morning, and I've been awake for an hour and a half. So that's not normal, but it's insomnia. So, all right. So let's go with this. I'm gonna find out what the peso, the Mexican peso, because that's where I am. Okay, so this is wild shit. This is what they do when they want to fuck up a country. Is they toy. They can only do one thing. They can devaluate the dollar. This is amazing that no one's ever said anything. It's like we're so ignorant. So let me read this to you. No, these cunts don't let you read it without buying a subscription. Damn it. Ah. See, that's what they get you. Anyway. So the Mexican peso is on the decline, which is bullshit. That some bitch is going nowhere. So griffins are an animal. This is a prehistoric animal. Let me just give you the definition, and then we'll work backwards from the definition of griffins. Now I'm going on just regular Google, and we'll listen to it at the same time. What do you say? What is a griffin?
According to Britannica, griffin, composite mythological creature with a lion's body and a bird's head, usually that of an eagle.
Lion's body and a bird's head. Lion's body and a bird's head. Close, but not the way it was designed. Okay. What animal is the size of a lion that has a bird's head? Come on now, you could do this. What is the animal? What animal that exists today? Okay, let's hang on a second. What animal that exists today has knees that are backwards? Birds, do birds have backwards knees? I say they do. Lions don't have backwards knees. birds have backwards knees. Did you? If you did not see it, I have a photo of the fossil. That they have the reason why a lot of these dinosaurs. These are dinosaurs, by the way. These are not modern day animals by any means. These are common. See, dinosaurs they discovered are basically they have bird bones. So they have a almost a porous, a very high porosity because they could fly. They were very light weight. Um, just think about this for a minute. Eagles have a wingspan, some could be up to like 12 feet or something like that. And what animal today has a body that's very big? Because when I looked at this anyway, to me, it very much looked like a modern day ostrich. An ostrich. I believe that what we're looking at here is a myth, but we've mythified because feathers and wings. Whenever you see a photo, look, I showed you in the thumbnail, there were two that were depicted in this century, these centuries, okay, the 5th century and the 7th century. During this time, there were, according to the fossil records, still dinosaurs living amongst us, and there still are. This particular animal, for whatever reason, had wings, but it had a body of a lion. I've seen a bunch of like fake skeletons and things like that because the bones themselves are porous and they're not microporous. They're larger, a larger pore, so they dissolve basically when the bones disappear. They also say that the Nephilim, that would be giants, the giants. How do you guys feel about giants? Did you think for a minute I'd ever bring up giants? Okay, because listen to me, Brian. Giants. Okay, we've only found pieces and fragments and mummies and things like that. Smithsonian's made them all disappear. The rest have all been undocumented or disappeared history. I want to find it. I do not want to sit here and blow smoke up anyone's ass and pretend that I saw aliens when I didn't, or have to fake something. You understand that if anything you believe in that you have to fake or lie about is invalid. That's the only way we're gonna ride this shit out, you guys. Have you ever been on a cruise ship before in a fucking storm? Twice in my life, I have been the fortunate recipient of free tickets to go on one of these party cruises with a three, if you know what I mean. And I would go and I go to the casino. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a bunch of people packed into a 7-Eleven. Okay, it's the casino. But instead of it being the slot machines, excuse me, instead of it being like the coolers and all the junk food, because when you walk into a 7-Eleven, essentially you're walking into a large adult junk food store. You're walking into a giant candy store. And you wonder why you motherfuckers, all of you got diabetes. See. So we got some historical records that say that ostriches may have had wings before. But they do have wings. They're very small. They just can't fly with them. The dodo was also a bird that had a head that looked, it was a large bird, but it had a teeny tiny little body. And that bird went extinct. The similarities to, what's up, brother? The similarities to a griffin, when I looked at the bones of the legs that they supposedly found, is that they're backward kneed and they have very giant claws. And you would think, for the untrained eye, if you were to see backwards legs like this and giant claws like that, you'd say, well, that's either a dinosaur or it's some kind of eagle. because not any, I don't know too many people that are educated on birds that they know the difference between a condor, which we would call buzzards or vultures or whatever. But they, Californians, they love to make shit sound delicious. Just make up words. What a fucking, what a joke. What a joke. I don't know who wrote this script, but it is ridiculous. So griffins may have been an animal that was a hybrid of some kind. Okay, it was a hybrid of the Nephilim. If it was a form of, see, the Nephilim, it would be when the fallen angels or the watchers came to earth and mated with the women of earth. They were beautiful. They saw they were beautiful to look at. And what happened were these monstrosities that came out. Monstrosities that if a human being and an angel had a baby, monstrosities come out. And there would be different types of animals or different types of beasts. So a lot of these beasts that you and I would say, oh, that's, a big monster. Yeah, a scary monster, or it's a dragon or something like that. Which, by the way, you won't find any, if any, anytime you see any of these like clickbait shit says they keep finding dragon bones, remember that these people are full of shit. And it's hyperbolic to say that any dinosaur bones that are from any of the bird species, because the bones are porous. And when things are porous, they break down faster and turn to dust. There have been some people who have found things they've said to have been giants, and then the moment they were exposed to oxygen, they literally collapsed and turned to dust. Because when they're inside of boxes or these things, whatever, there's no air inside of there. All that bacteria is gone. There are roots growing inside this thing, and it's gone. So there's not a lot of evidence of large birds. There are a few because they tend to break down. But if they're somehow fused into stone, and that could be by them falling into tar pit, for example, and then 65 million years later they show up in this formation of chemical, because the chemicals in these bogs and things like that they're very low oxygen levels, almost zero, and they preserve bodies. These bogs, for example, have you heard of the bog people? Those are people that were murdered in, I want to say, Scotland, and they would throw the bodies inside the bogs. So the bogs would just take the human being down into the depths of the deep end of the pool, basically, of a bog. And they would throw them down there tied up and just let people fucking drown slowly. People were really bad in the old days. But to want to know something else, people are really bad in the modern day. We're devolved. We're devolving. We're devolving. I could see it from a distance years ago, and I saw it getting closer and closer month by month. Things started to become very weird, like in appearances, for example. Now, a griffin may have been an ostrich, but a griffin might have been a hybrid of an ostrich and then perhaps some kind of I want to say, they say a body of a lion. Well, my little chihuahua slash mini pin has the body of a lion, and it's this big. So that it's adorable too, by the way. So they may have been the result of the Nephilim. Because the Nephilim created giants and monsters and the trolls and all these stories that we've heard in the past about trolls being under the bridge, that turned out to be true. Well, excuse me. The legends have become myths. See, they all start off as history. Everything starts off as history if it stays in the truth of historical facts and if it's documented it by several witnesses, and then that's somehow put into historical documents. One of the reasons why a lot of our history is myth is because whenever there has been a cataclysm, the historical record has been disappeared. I believe that there is a possibility that a lot of things were written in paper and digitally. So these people that from this last civilization, they did things differently. When they discovered this one specific village, and they drilled it down to, I believe, 12,800 years ago. There is not a single government building in this entire civilization. And another thing that I find we want to not I think that our human beings today are defaulting to disbelief of all things. Because our world is a crazy world right now where I could dress up as a girl and say I could get pregnant. And you would say, I'm so proud of you. But you would look and inside your brain, you'd be like, you're out of your damn mind, Wedo. What are you talking about? But I digress. A griffin may have been a hybrid animal that was a combination of an ostrich, or it may have been a misinterpretation of an ostrich. Now, eagles may have been gigantic in those days because a lot of these other animals, and the crocodiles are evidence of that. Those have been around a long, long time, and those used to be so big, like the size of a pickup truck in the head. Can you imagine? So listen, it is early. Hey, what's up? Um, wanted to show you last night. We put the sign out here, right there for a summer camp, and it's a Saturday night. Everybody's having fun outside. People are getting along. They're having a good time, and then you know we get a couple drunks. They're no problem. They're no problem. They're just, what I mean, they're just drunks. They're not here to do any damage. They're just trying to go to fuck home or pass out somewhere on the ground. So we got a sunrise, but we got some cloud action out here. So let me show you. See if we can get a focus. See, that cloud is actually a giant angel right there flying through the air. That's so cool. Look at the giant angel. Hey, guy. He's like flying like Superman. Hey, it's a giant angel looking down upon us. There are the legs behind it. Look at that. Isn't that badass? Huh. It's a giant angel, you guys. It's literally, here's the head. Here's the body. This angel might be on the phone. It's looking down at its WhatsApp right now and seeing, hey, angel, please, Wedo's outside on the thing. And he's alive right now. So you see? Head, body, the knees, got the little foot up in the air like it's a... Uh-oh. See that? She made it disappear. Whoa. We pointed out an angel and she vanished. How you like that, you guys? Now it's gone. Wow. So that's the kind of shit that you see in Mexico. We were literally talking about the thing, a cloud, and I'm like, look, it's an angel laying down, and then all of a sudden, poof, all gone. And oh, you know what it was? It's the lens adjusting. That's all it is. But the sun and those lights registering with this camera. Do you know what I mean? Look at that. See? And I didn't move. You saw I'm just standing here. I didn't do shit. See? There it goes again. And I'm just trying to show you the sunrise. Look, look, look. Look at my hands disappearing into the sun. Look. My hand is disappearing into the simulation, you guys. Look. A visual representation of the simulation. Look. I'm going into a different dimension in my arm. Look. See? I'm in a different dimension. Look. Here's our dimension. And there's the heavenly dimension. Look. Isn't that neat? Look at that. Only in Mexico, you guys. I'm telling you. Weird shit. Look, there we go again. Who are you? Who's this one? Oh, other dimension. Oh, went back to the other dimension. See? Only in Mexico. Weird shit, right? But to emphasize some historical stuff, and this will be cool to see, is that we're going to a new town in Mexico to open a new fire academy for advanced firefighters. And it's going to be cool because I get to live there. Just like I live here, I could live there. And it's a training center. So, but the cool thing is, it's an old 1810 castle that we got a portion of. It's like it is a big building by itself, but the whole castle itself is the whole town. And there are animals here in Mexico that they've found like figurines of down in the caves that no one's ever seen before. And there are no bones for these animals. Some people say, well, they're like fantasy figurines and things like that. Until I went to a artesian market in Mexico City, and there was a man that was hand painting a statue, and I should have bought it, but it was of a griffin. And I asked him, I said, "What is this?" And he says, "This is a," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I couldn't pronounce it. I couldn't spell it if you put a gun to my head." And but he's telling me this story of each one of these figurines has a little backstory behind it, and they all sound very similar to the griffin. Now, I know all of you like myself grew up wanting to believe in fantasy characters or fantasy magical creatures. We've always hoped that one day we would be walking in the park or something and we would say, "Ooh, look at that. It's a leprechaun." And you would be, "Oh, I'm so lucky I got to see a mythical creature." So what I'm told is that everything so far legendarily is actually true stories. And it sounds bizarre to us today because these animals and these beings no longer exist in this realm. A griffin may still be very well alive and well down in Australia, sticking its head in the sand. So if we had a whole worldwide disaster, and my thoughts are this is that when we had the flood, Noah's flood, or whatever you want to say, there have been little disasters similar to it, and it wiped out our last civilization. We're actually the cavemen. You used to think that in the old days that people were cavemen back in the old days. We are the cavemen. We have been left behind into a ruin of a civilization. The remnants of that civilization, which ones before. All the castles are evidence of this. What went on in these castles? Who were these people? Why were these buildings so big? How many people lived there? What was the population back then? I think that griffins date back to the 10th century. The 10th century, I mean, if you lived past the age 25, you were considered a grandfather back then. Simply because we didn't have, you would think that we were so primitive. We didn't know how to just, wash your hands before delivering a baby. Because a lot of these details seem common sense to very smart people, would be non common sense to a historian. To a historian who's trying to imagine, what would life be like in this particular era or, this epoch of time. What was life like there? What was life like if I was to go back in time? What would I be wearing? What language would I speak? Am I going to speak with an English language or an English accent? By the way, don't ever do that. Don't do that. Don't ever do that because I'll have friends that'll kick me sideways if I try to pretend to have an Irish or a Scottish or an English accent or an Australian accent. Australians are cool. Like they don't have any rules. At least the most majority of people in Australia is like fuck that. I you know can't. They don't. Australians are tough little guys. They're tough little guys. I love them. You'd think they'd have no filters and no rules in their country, but they were the when okay 3 years ago I saw that they had discovered some monolithic walls in this one part of southern Australia, and everybody was all pumped about it and everything, but something happened and they did not the world heritage site, for example. Here it would be an Enoch, which would be the Institute of Historical Monuments and Agriculture, um, um, or architecture. And they maintain the buildings that, if you were to go to Bellas Artes right now, you're looking at palaces from the old world. All right, these are not. They have no excuse because, unlike most countries, they didn't actually need to have a war or anything to knock them down, because all they had to do is just wait for a flood and it would take an entire city out. Mexico City specific was abandoned for over 100 years. So everybody's like, "Oh, Mexico City is so cool. It's like the place to be. It's like the only gig in town." I'm like, "Get out of here. What are you talking about? Get out of here. What are you talking about?" Hey, but you know what? All of us have a limited belief system. I will tell you, as a kid, there are two moons. One comes out one day and one comes out the next. And you'd believe me. And all your life you would spend the rest of your life looking up to the sky and going, "Well, is this the moon? Is this moon, or is this the other one? Oh yeah, this is moon A." And then moon B will arrive tomorrow. So you see how ridiculous that sounds, but children will believe every single thing you tell them. You guys know I teach kids martial arts and self defense, but I also teach them ethics and how to dominate a conversation. Because you have to allow people to take enough rope to hang themselves, they'll ruin themselves eventually. So if you find you're at the receiving end of a dark conversation, you can just allow that person to just run their mouth, because if you interrupt, all you're going to do is trigger a negative response. So all you got to do is just let them talk. It's going to be painful. You're going to want to run your mouth. Don't do that. So once you start getting around people that are actually professionally involved in architecture, sorry, music, architecture, no, antiquities, antiquities that are beyond 1,000 years old. Everything forward from that, the Smithsonian has basically come and investigated every single area, every single country, from here to Timbuktu. And then those places that we did not, they didn't physically go in, and they would send people like Lewis and Clark to go marching across the United States, you know, with their little fucking musket and Sacagawea, and they end up going to Chicago. And in Chicago and beyond, we know that there are tunnels underneath of Chicago. We know that there was civilization that was buried from some cataclysm we haven't been able to find a date on, because usually things, when it floods, washes away. It changes the structures of things. We also look at trash. We're only a few hundred years old here. Like here in Mexico, well, I'm just saying the gringo population is not very old. The aboriginals, yeah, that's old. So just imagine aboriginal, but aborigines in every country. And what we're seeing now are the remnants. We are the cavemen, you guys. So, all right. So, also, the last thing I'm going to talk about is some of you guys wasting your time and wasting your money. I think by now, if you've ever worked a job in the US and you've been paid dollars or whatever for your time, you sit around in an office or whatever You know what I mean? You're sitting there on your phone, you're checking up your emails, whatever. You're sending in the TPS reports. What in the hell happened to us that we decided we were going to put human beings inside of cages and call it work and then exchange our time and lifeblood for paper that isn't worth anything? So why do you I'm just giving you guys the truth of why I feel this way about money. I'm sick of it. You guys are obsessed with money, talk about how whatever, and then turn around and call me broke. Okay? Which I would accept if it was true at that moment. But I'm telling you that you guys worship money. And if you knew that the money was not worth anything, you wouldn't put so much emphasis on trying to kill each other for it. You follow me? And I'm not talking about some socialist utopian situation. I'm talking about something that they did in the past civilization that made it possible for them to live on some kind of a bartering system of credit, where if I was a farmer and I had 10 types of fruit or vegetables, you, being a person that cuts hair, would cut my hair for some fruit. I would be completely satisfied with a big grocery bag of whatever you have growing on your trees in exchange for you cutting my hair. Now, that I think that's great if you're a property owner and you own property. Is a property more valuable empty, or is it more valuable with a person in it and it's occupied? It is something more valuable when it's occupied because it could generate. Notice they use that word generate when we talk about income. It's because just like electricity, we have to generate something in order to have an effect after the cause. Chemistry is about reaction, the reaction of two things. It's not about chemicals at all. It's not. So we're gonna go do auction practice today, guys. Last night, like I said, we had to do the um, we pulled it in last night because I had to get squared away. You guys know I'm getting my teeth fixed, so it's gonna hopefully cross your fingers, you guys, because it's a lot of money. It's for me. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of money for me to come out of pocket for to fix my fucking teeth. For me, I might jump more ramps and break my teeth again. But at least I don't look like a fucking hockey player right now. For the time being, she gave me some medicine that like somehow super glued my tooth back in. Weird, right? But no pain or anything. Like up here where it was like where I came down on the ground and smashed my face in. When I came down like that, my whole body, by the way, went backwards. I gave myself a chiropractor job. I jumped on the bike like this and I landed. Hold on a second. Let me show you a pair of scissors. So it's not a bike, by the way. It is a, I forget what they're called. So I got it here. Let's see. Check it out. So this is the ramp. Okay. I jump this ramp on a regular basis like this, jump like this, and then land on a landing ramp like this. Okay. So when I jump, I clear through the air. You're going to see me tip. Hold on. Like this. Just almost lay me down sideways. So when I land, I'm landing like this. So I'm going sideways through the air, and you'll feel the lift. When you're riding on your bike, you jump, land on the lift, and then you go like that. If you don't have a landing ramp, you're going to land hard. And what happened to me was I came down like this on the forks, and the forks had basically just, they're not designed to, go 35 miles an hour and jump 12 feet into the air and then land. The shocks are going to bury out. They're just going to go boom, and that's not good. That's a design, issue. So anyway, it is time. Look at that. I want to show you guys. They got beautiful stuff. Um, I want you to check out a store. It's called Liverpool, and I want you to look at the prices of the stuff in Liverpool. Hold on. Let me see if you can see this watch. Oh, damn it. But this, no. Okay. Liverpool sells watches like good up, good watches, the top of the line watches on the commercial market, Rolexes, Mont Blanc, but those are not like serious watches like Philippe Patek and stuff like that. And you might spend a few grand on a watch that may be gold like this. Okay, and this is rose gold. This is actually 22 karat gold. 22 karat. 22 karat gold is orange, very, very orange, Saudi Arabia orange. But here's the thing, this is not real, and it is not a Philippe Patek. Patek Philippe. No, it is a very good made, it's a very well made watch that has the rolling calendar on one side. It's got a skeletal structure on the inside, white face, pearl, and 22 karat gold. This right here, I think this is the leg of the ostrich. The front part of the ostrich has a weird pattern on it, and it has like little, like, but again, we're talking about. So this right here is faux. I'm gonna faux lizard. Yeah, that's what it is. It's faux lizard. It's not the one that has the ostrich leg. That one over there is different because it has like these markings on it like this. Because on the front of the ostrich's leg, it's like these dark marks. So I'm very interested in ostriches. I'm very interested in observing that they don't bury their heads in the ground. That's not true. But at the same time, I think that a lot of these metaphors were made up in order to keep us kind of off of. We'll just say that if griffins did exist, they would find some way to either A, say they did not exist by either destroying pictures or evidence of some kind, or just saying it and dismissing it altogether, saying that it's just a myth. It's just something that's fake that nobody does. So the combination of the eagle face and the body of a lion, I think that that's a very, very vague definition or even a description, if any, if it's a description at all. And that is that the griffins were nothing more than ostriches. I'm the professor. I hope that was educational for you, and I'm out again. Have a good day.